I wonder what Grandma Grace would think if she knew I just spent 20 minutes arguing with a computer about a picture of her foot, and that I'm going to show it to all of you. And believe it or not, this foot and this argument tie into a 120-year-old family mystery.
Look at that again. I think that's a button-up boot, don't you?
Those are black leather lace-up boots with a slight heel, practical for daily wear.
I'm Nancy from Legacy Carvers, and I enjoy using new tools to find old family stories and inspiring you to do the same. Today, I'm going to use ChatGPT to help me look at several family mysteries involving two sets of South Dakota siblings.
Where the prairie dogs chatter and the chickens all scatter.
Grace McGuffin was the grandma we all missed, even though we never met her. She died when my mom was 14. Gramps used to show me her picture and tell me she was the nicest lady he ever met. I didn't miss Gramps because Oscar Elmer Olson lived down the hall in bedroom number 3. Elmer liked to get his fiddle and scratch out a tune. Apparently, he was a local hit in the dance halls back when he met Grace. His way of expressing affection was to say, "Shush, girl, go sit in a corner and read a book." I think our Norwegians just leaned into their gruff side. Hey, if you've got it, flaunt it. Grandma's Scots-Irish people, they were more fun-loving. Some of the McGuffin boys were a bit too fun-loving, but I'll come back to that. First, I want to show you this. You may wonder why I have this bobblehead here of Giorgio that I keep next to
My
bust of Shakespeare. Usually they live back on my bookcase behind me. Well, besides his fabulous hair, Giorgio reminds me to use timelines when I work on stories.
Washington, D.C., July 19th, 1952.
Just go watch any episode of Ancient Aliens sometime. Each scene opens with date, location, and event. Timelines can really help you in all sorts of ways. Keep watching and you'll see what I mean. Let's begin today in Battle Creek, Michigan, where great-grandma Mary and several of her children lived. Her daughter Grace is front and center in this photo. To me, it represents the end of Grace's childhood and also the end of her life in the city. Okay, so this is Grandma right here in the front. And the mystery I want to solve here specifically is what year was this taken?
Likely 1906 to 1910.
I could keep discussing this with ChatGPT on my phone, but I want to switch to my computer and use a GPT to look at a photo more closely. This is a set of instructions already all set up. It's Mark Thompson's Historical Photo Analyzer. So let's just go to my computer, log into ChatGPT, go over to the left menu and select Explore GPTs, and that will give us a place to search for Mark's Historical Photo Analyzer. This is free, which would make Grandma very happy because our family just loves nothing more than a good bargain. Click the plus sign to upload your photo, and bam, just let it do its thing. What does it say?
Kellogg's introduced toasted cornflakes in 1906. The design of the box and clothing styles align with this period.
Now, because I never blindly trust ChatGPT, I'm just going to go do a quick search to see if other sources agree. Well, yes, okay. Cornflakes, first sold February 19, 1906. And now this is key. In 1906, the box would have said Sanitas at the top. It didn't change to Kellogg's until 1907. And here are some pictures for comparison. If you look closely at Grandma's box, it says Kellogg's. Since she moved to South Dakota in 1909, I'm going to guess this was taken in 1907 or 1908 when Grandma was 16 or 17. So, current mystery solved.
It keeps the wind out and mostly the rain stays outside.
How did a family from Battle Creek, Michigan end up in the middle of nowhere, South Dakota? When you look at that young lady from the cornflakes box, are you thinking ranch hand? Me either. But remember I said some of Grandma's people like to have just a little too much fun? I am sitting in a lodge in Deadwood drinking my third cup of coffee when my cousin slides into the chair across from me. She opens a photo album, leans forward, lowers her voice. Have I told you about Uncle Jim? It's 2019 and I'm at an epic family reunion. An elderly man looks back at me from her photo album. I vaguely remember meeting him back in '65 when we visited before. As the story goes, the McGuffin boys were out having fun at a bar one Saturday night when a fight broke out, and a man took a swing at Great Uncle Jim, and Jim pushed him away. The man fell, hit his head, and died. What was Great Grandma Mary to do? They couldn't afford a lawyer. Would the police be fair to a boy from the other side of the tracks? To protect her son, Mary gathered her flock and fled to the most remote location she could find, just south of the North Dakota state line, and Jim stayed there for the rest of his life. It's a good story, but is it true? I'm going to think about this for a few minutes. But first, I want to show you where they went. Did you know you can use a website to make their homesteads show up like little dots all over the map? I'm here at the Bureau of Land Management website, the BLMGLO, Government Land Office. All I have to do is look up the land patents for anybody who proved up a claim, and it will show me where the claim was. So this little dot here, that's Great Grandma. Here's son Jim. Here's son Edgar. And the homestead where Grandma and Grandpa lived is right down here. And over here's the homestead where Gramps lived before that. And up here, that's Great Grandma's next door neighbor, Carl Rasmussen. We could sit here and look at little dots all day. It's fun, but the dots don't do the landscape justice. Here's what a starter house looks like. That's a soddy made out of sod. Uncle Edgar is standing behind Great Grandma here. I wonder why he's wearing a suit. Now it's winter. This is Mary, Edgar, and Grace. This photo's very faded, but it can give you an idea of what it was like in winter. Their long dresses are dragging in the snow. Edgar's dealing with 2 horses at once. As my cousin would say, Edgar was a cowboy, but Grace, she was a school teacher, or at least that's what I always thought. But recently, I found out this is not common knowledge among my cousins. So this is the next mystery I want to solve. Did I misremember? Am I wrong?
The discouraging word, but what can a buffalo say?
I got this information from my Aunt Esther. She lived with Grace for 10 years. Neither lady was known to be a teller of tall tales. As oral history goes, this is pretty solid. What about a physical document? I have a copy of Grandma's old scrapbook, which is filled with what looks like teacher's notes. So that's pretty good. But what about something official? I was looking at my notes the other day and I noticed the 1915 census for South Dakota. There's a transcription from Ancestry.com, but that's all it is, just a transcription. Did you know transcriptions don't always record all the information from the original record? So where would an original be? See this little FHL number here? That means I should go check FamilySearch.org and see if the original is there. So that's what I did. And would you look at this? It's been sitting there for who knows how long, right under my nose. And by the way, this is a very nosy state census. They even ask your religion on this one. She went to high school. She's an Adventist. She's Scots-Irish. And here we go. Her occupation is teacher. Mystery solved. And I didn't need a fancy tool for that. I just needed to look at things that were already under my nose. So that's the fun-loving MacGuffins, but what about those Olsons?
Oh, give me a home where the winter winds moan and the summers are dusty and dry.
Torvald Olson dragged his family to South Dakota from Wisconsin in 1907. He changed his name to Tom when he came from Norway. I think he just wanted to fit in, and what is more American than calling yourself Tom and then wandering from place to place in search of a better situation? I don't think Great-Grandma Anna was very pleased with this move. They tried to make a go of a sheep ranch. There's a legend about their son, Alec. As the story goes, Alec was so good at shearing sheep that he could shear 100 sheep in one day. My question is it even possible to shear this many sheep in a day? To help me solve this mystery, I'm going to go back to ChatGPT, and this time I'm going to use a new feature called Deep Research. This is similar to the Deep Research feature in other large language models, but it's supposed to be much more exhaustive than its competitors. At the moment for this, you need a Plus subscription, and it costs about $20 a month. Maybe it's good Grandma doesn't know that I'm planning to pay money just to find out how many sheep Uncle Alec could have sheared in a day. Actually, I'll ask it for a full report on sheep ranches in South Dakota back in the day, and we'll see what it says. This is going to take a while. Look, it's thinking out loud. It's like it's talking to itself. This reminds me of Gramps when he was old. He would look out the window and he'd say, "Yeah, yeah, 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 yeah." Okay, our report has finished. Wow. This really does seem to be much more in-depth than I've seen in the past. It's still an AI report, so it still needs to be checked carefully, but so far I am impressed. The answer to my sheep shearing question is...
Shearing 100 sheep in a day would be challenging but feasible for an experienced young man in peak condition. It would require efficient technique and minimal downtime between animals.
So I'm going to say for this mystery, the answer is, I don't know if Alec really sheared that many, but it was possible. Okay, here's the last mystery I want you to help me with. So I'm working on a timeline. Wouldn't Giorgio be proud of me?
Giorgio would totally be nodding along right now, hair and all.
So look at this photo here and tell me what you see.
The calendar on the wall shows February 1916. A lantern hangs on the wall. The decor is simple but practical, likely from a rural or working-class household. The woman's posture suggests fatigue.
Okay, well, I think she's tired because she's about 8 weeks pregnant, morning sickness. And I think they just moved. But here's my question. Their homestead application says that they moved into a 16 by 28 log and frame house in February of 1916. Does this look like it could be the interior of a 16 by 28 log and frame house?
Yes, it's possible. The plastered or whitewashed interior suggests a frame or finished log house rather than a rough-hewn log cabin. The space looks modest, fitting the dimensions of 16 by 28 feet. We can't be certain just from this photo, but I'd say it's definitely plausible this was your grandparents' first home. The calendar alone is persuasive.
What about Granduncle Jim? Back in Deadwood, I asked my cousin, is this story true? Did Jim really kill that man? And she just winked and said, well, that's what I was told. I searched news articles, but all I found was a city directory showing where he worked in Battle Creek in 1908. So was Uncle Jim really a fugitive, or was that just a family legend? I think we just don't know. But one thing I do know for sure. Right here in this photo, you're looking at the beginning of a new family of bookworms. One that started because 2 sets of siblings crossed paths in South Dakota more than a century ago. I think I'm glad that happened. I love you, Grandma. And yes, Gramps, I'm going to go read a book now. Check the show notes for links to the deep research report from ChatGPT and links to anything else I've mentioned today. And I want to know, do you have any family mysteries you're trying to solve? Any fugitive ancestor legends? Any sheep shearing superheroes? Just tell me about those in the comments, and I'll see you again soon.
Home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where the prairie dogs chatter and the chickens all scatter, and the steam train rolls through twice a day. Home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where the prairie dogs chatter and the chickens all scatter, and the steam train rolls through twice a day.